The sound of the door creaking open in the middle of the night sent shivers down Amina's spine. Her heart pounded as she lay in the dark, hoping that the shadows would keep her hidden. But she knew deep inside that he had found her. The price of power had finally come due. Amina was a simple girl from the village of Kijiji, where life was slow and everyone knew each other's secrets. She had grown up watching the elders gather under the big tree to tell stories. Her mother often warned her about the dangers of the city, but Amina had always been curious. She dreamed of a life beyond the village, where the houses were tall and the roads were smooth. One day, a man came to Kijiji. His name was Mr. Kamau, and he was unlike anyone Amina had ever seen. He was tall and wore a suit that shone in the sunlight. Everyone in the village whispered about him, saying he was a rich man from the city, a powerful man. He was building a new company and he needed workers. The opportunity was too good to pass up. Amina's heart raced as she watched him speak to the elders. When Mr. Kamau's eyes fell on her, she felt something strange. It was as if he could see right through her, into her thoughts, her desires. That night, she lay awake, thinking about the man from the city. She wondered what it would be like to leave Kijiji behind and follow him. The next morning, Amina made up her mind. She would leave Kijiji and go to the city. Her mother cried when she told her, but Amina was determined. She packed her few belongings and joined the group of young men and women who were also leaving for the city. The journey to the city was long and tiring, but Amina's excitement kept her going. When they finally arrived, she was in awe of the tall buildings and the busy streets. The noise and the lights were overwhelming, but Amina felt alive. This was the life she had dreamed of. Mr. Kamau's company was bigger than anything Amina had ever imagined. She was given a job as a cleaner, and though it was hard work, she was grateful. Every day she saw Mr. Kamau, and every day he would smile at her. It wasn't long before he started talking to her, asking about her life in the village, her dreams, her fears. Amina was flattered by the attention. No one had ever made her feel special before. She began to look forward to their conversations, to the way he made her feel. And then one day, Mr. Kamau invited her to his office. He told her she was different, that she was special. He told her she could have anything she wanted if she stayed by his side. Amina knew it was wrong. Mr. Kamau was married, and he had children, but the power he held over her was too strong. She was caught in his web, and there was no escape. They began a secret affair, meeting in his office late at night, when everyone else had gone home. Amina knew it couldn't last, but she didn't care. She was addicted to the feeling of being wanted, of being loved. As the months passed, Amina started to change. She no longer cared about her job, her friends, or even her family back in Kijiji. All she cared about was Mr. Kamau and the life he promised her. She started to spend more time in his office, sitting in his chair, looking out over the city, imagining herself as the queen of it all. But power comes at a price. One night, as Amina lay in Mr. Kamau's arms, she heard a noise outside the door. It was faint at first, but then it grew louder. She sat up, her heart pounding. Mr. Kamau told her to stay calm, but she couldn't. Something was wrong. She could feel it. The door burst open, and there stood Mr. Kamau's wife, her face twisted in anger. She had known all along, and now she was here to take back what was hers. Amina tried to run, but Mrs. Kamau was too quick. She grabbed Amina by the hair and dragged her out into the hallway. The other workers gathered around, watching in shock as Mrs. Kamau screamed at Amina, calling her all sorts of names. Amina felt her world crumble around her. The life she had dreamed of, the power she thought she had, was gone in an instant. She was nothing more than a village girl, caught in a game she didn't understand. Mr. Kamau tried to calm his wife, but it was too late. The scandal spread like wildfire through the city. Everyone knew about the CEO's mistress, the girl from Kijiji who had thought she could take on the world. Amina was fired from her job, and Mr. Kamau was forced to step down as CEO. His family was ruined, his reputation destroyed. Amina returned to Kijiji, but she was no longer the same girl who had left. The villagers looked at her with pity, and her mother could barely stand to look at her. Amina spent her days in silence, haunted by the choices she had made. One night, as she lay in bed, she heard a noise outside her door. Her heart raced as she remembered the night Mrs. Kamau had found her. But when she opened the door, there was no one there, just the wind blowing through the trees. Amina knew she would never escape her past. The power, the greed, the scandal, it had all been too much. She had flown too close to the sun, and now she was paying the price. But as she stood in the darkness, Amina felt a strange sense of peace. She had lost everything, but she was still here. She was still alive. And in the end, that was all that mattered.